This is a spreadsheet tutorial, and the first step is to open up a small spreadsheet that we can work with. So we're going to use a spreadsheet that has to do with Chicago neighborhoods. So if you go here to sites.google.com/uic.edu/CS218 data AI, and we open that up, we get to the website, and on the website, we go over to data sets. And under data sets, we come down and the Chicago Health Atlas data. We'll click on that and it'll open it up. So here's a directory with it in. So this is the one that we want. So we'll click on that. If I double click on it, it opens up. But notice it says view only up here at the top. So I have to make a copy of it. So I'll do file, make a copy, and I'll put it in, let's see, a folder, all locations, maybe my own drive. You have to find some spot to put it. And okay, so I'll make a copy. Thinking, making a copy, and here we go. So now we have our own copy. We can edit this. Down at the bottom, we have a few different tabs of things you can look at. So we're just going to play, well, maybe what we should do is we should take this data right here, all of this, and copy it. So I highlighted it with Command A. And if you're on a Mac, it'd be Command A. And if you're on a PC, I believe it'd be Control A to select all of it. Or you could come up here to edit. And sometimes the options for cut and copy are up here as well. You could also come up to A1 and click on A1 up there and then scroll to the bottom right-hand corner, and click on the far right-hand corner, or shift click on it to highlight the whole range. Or maybe you just go down there and you just drag all the way over. In any case, and then trying to go over to the left. Scrolling. So you want to highlight the whole thing. And then we could go up to edit, copy it, and come over here to mess around here. And, or we could maybe make a new tab, call it something really scientific like practice. And inside of practice, then I'll go up to edit and I will do paste and paste everything. So we can play around with this without changing the original in this other tab. This tab, I don't think we need this, so I can click on this and go down to delete that tab, delete that sheet, and we'll go into practice. And this is where we're going to play around with things. Okay, so we have it. I think we're ready to go. So let's take a look at the instructions of what we want to do here. So first thing we did was this preparation. We opened up Chicago neighborhood spreadsheet. We made a copy, made a tab, so we have the original data and we can play around. Basic operations first, how many neighborhoods are there? We want to find this out. So if we take a look here at how many neighborhoods there are, we could count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a little tedious. We could scroll all the way to the bottom and see, oh, it looks like there's 78. But there's not really 78 because there's a titles. So there's actually 78 minus 1, the header row. So there's 77 different neighborhoods. So the answer to this first question is there's 77 neighborhoods. Let's take a look at the total population using a formula called sum. So we go in here and we see that this column has population in it. And so we want to get the sum of the population. And so if we scroll all the way to the bottom, and we put a little title for ourselves, total population. And then right here, we are going to use the sum formula. Okay, so this cell is cell column E, row 80. So E80. So inside of 80, I'm going to click on E80, and then I'm going to type equal sign, and then sum. I can use uppercase or lowercase, it doesn't matter. Sum, and then I'm going to open the parentheses, and then I want to choose from here all the way up and scrolling to there. I want to get the sum of all that, and then I'm going to press enter, and there's the sum right there. That's the total number. Now this scrolling thing, that's kind of tedious. So I do have a suggestion. That should save you some grief. Scroll all the way to the top, go down a few rows, 5, 6 rows, something like that. Click on that row. And what we're going to do is we're going to freeze this top part and scroll the bottom part. So we're going to have a snapshot of the very top and the very bottom. We're going to split the screen, and then it'll make things easier for us. So here I'm going to go up to View, and I'm going to say Freeze up to row 6. And then this bottom part, I can scroll like this. And there's another shortcut to doing this too, which is if I want to go to the very bottom of this row, I can hit down arrow a bunch of times. Or on a Mac, I can hit Command down arrow. And on a PC, it'd be Control down arrow. And I hit that, and it takes me to the bottommost row like that. So now I'm looking at the very top part and the very bottom part. So if I ever want to highlight this whole range, again, if I went up here and scrolled and started scrolling, right, I'd have to scroll through everything like that, which is what we're trying to avoid here. And so what we're going to do is we're going to highlight the range by clicking on the very top. So I just clicked on it once. And then I'm going to come down here to the very bottom, and I'm going to use Shift and press and hold Shift, and then click, and it highlights the whole range. And that's how to select a range. You choose one end of it, clicking on it, and then Shift click while you're holding Shift down, click on the other end of the range, and it highlights the whole thing. You could do multiple. If I click up there and want to come down here to the right and Shift click and highlight all of that, it works as well. Same kind of thing works in like Microsoft Word if you're trying to select a range that spans multiple pages. Okay, so here, if we were doing this again, and we wanted the sum of this, we could type in equals sum, and I could come up here, and I could click on the top, Shift, and hold Shift down, and click on the bottom, and press Enter, and there it is. Voila. So that's helpful. Okay, so that's using sum. And then let's say we want to count and see how many neighborhoods have a graduation rate less than 85%. Okay, well, how are we going to do this? So we want to find out how many neighborhoods have a graduation rate less than 85%. So if we go in here, so first we have to find graduation rate. Where is that? Graduation rate. Here it is. Grad rate right there. So graduation rate less than 85%. So that's not one. That's one. So there's 1, 2. We could count it by hand. We only have 77 of them. So conceivably you could do it. But if you had 10,000 rows, you wouldn't want to do it by hand. So we want to know the graduation rate less than 85%. One way we could do it is we could insert a new column here. To insert a new column, you click on the column at the top, and then you right click, or if you've got a laptop, you might do Control or Shift Command or Control click on the trackpad on your laptop. But you want to come up here and you want to insert, where is it? Insert a column to the left. So again, if I just click on this and I right click with my mouse, I could do it, or I could click on this column and I could come up here and use the menu, insert a column to the left. So I've inserted a column to the left. And now right here, I want to put a number 1 next to each one of these things that has a graduation rate less than 85%, because that's what we're trying to count. And so for that, we're going to use an if statement. So an if statement is a formula. In formulas, we start with an equal sign. So equals if, and the thing I'm going to check on my if is if this thing is less than 85%. So that would be 0.85. Oh, it's already a percent there, so just 0.85 like that, right? So if that's true, then I'm going to put a 1 in this position. So the format is equals if, you open the parentheses, and then the thing that you're checking, in this case, the cell to the left, less than 85, then a comma, and then if it's true, this is the value I'm going to put in the place where I am right now. So I can press equals, and it says false for this. If this is less than 85, I put a 1. Well, that's false. So it filled in with false, which I want actually just a 1 if it's less than, so I could count all the ones. And otherwise, I just want a blank. So it turns out that an if statement This is a condition. If it's true, it does this. And if it's false, I can put a comma and just put a blank like that. Okay. And then it's trying to be helpful. Autofill. Sure. We'll autofill for all this. If I didn't have autofill, then what I would do is I'd grab this one, I'd copy it. So I could do it with edit and copy, or I could use my keyboard shortcuts, Command C on a Mac or Control C on a PC. And I want to copy that, and then I want to paste it. So copy, starting from here, and I'm going to shift click down to here to the very bottom. And then I'm going to paste inside that whole range. So again, I could use the menu option or the keyboard shortcuts, paste, and there it is. So let's look at the form. So when I click on a cell, if there's a formula there, it shows up here. Or if I double click on it, it shows up in place. So right there, the formula is if, and if I double click on it, it highlights this. So if O2, the one to the left, is less than 85, put a 1 in this place, else, otherwise put a blank. And escape to close that out, and that's what we have. So now I want to count all of these ones. So I want to get the sum of all those. So we've seen this already. So sum, and I want to sum from here, shift click all the way up to here. There's 31 of them. So it's a bit of work to insert this column and to put the if statement in there and do all that. There's another way to do it, as it turns out. So let's take a look. So we're talking about an if statement here. We'll come back to that. And we're going to use COUNTIF. So for COUNTIF, I can come in here and I can say equals, COUNTIF is the formula. COUNTIF. COUNTIF, and let's think about this. If I clicked on that help, no, there's not help here. So I might open up another window, type in Google Sheets, COUNTIF. COUNTIF, how does that work, COUNTIF? COUNTIF, let me see, COUNTIF. So COUNTIF in this range, this condition. Okay, so let's try that. So COUNTIF in the range, so the range is, I'm going to so from here, I'm going to click and shift click, or I could just type in the whole thing. I could type in O2, let's do that. I could type in O2 up until O78, like that. All right, now, one of the issues that we're having here, let's finish this. I got to put the condition, right? If that is less than 85 is the condition, we're going to try that. You think that's going to work? No. And the reason is because you have to put the condition inside of double quotes. There's lots of little details like this that can be really annoying, but you look it up, you look at an example, you fiddle with it a little bit, and then you can get it. So I have to put quotes around this for this to work. And see this thing that says table? This is going to cause a little bit of a problem for us later when we try and graph. So this has been created, all these values have been put in a table, which gives us some automatic things like this pull-down menu for sorting by each one of these columns. But it could be a little bit confusing for us. So let me finish this first. And we can see we get the same answer. So just typing this in means we don't have to insert this column and put these values in there and then get the sum down here. But it shows you can do a manual approach, or if you know a little bit about some formulas and spreadsheets, then you can do it a little faster way. Okay, so we figured out how many neighborhoods have a graduation rate less than 85, and the answer to that is 31 of them have a graduation rate less than 35, and less than 85, sorry. Okay, next up, let's find the average per capita income using average. So we'll look at the average per capita. That's here in Q. So this is the per capita income for each one of these neighborhoods. Now look at the neighborhood. It's kind of interesting. And I'd like to keep the neighborhood posted there while I scroll like here, but I can't do it right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight this, And I'm going to come up here to view again, and then I'm going to freeze this time up to column B. Now I can scroll. There we go. That's a little bit better. And here's per capita, and I can look at the neighborhoods, which is a little bit interesting. So I want to find the average per capita income. So I'm going to come in here. So per capita income, I'm come down here, the average. And a lot of times, you might want to put a little title or some kind of hint for yourself, like average income or some kind of label so you know what's going on. So in this space, so I click on the cell where the formula is going to go, type in an equal sign, and I'm going to type in average. Let's say you didn't know that it was average. I type in the average, and it's like, that doesn't work. Unknown function, the average. Well, what can I do? I can come over here in Google Sheets. How do I find the average of a column? Or you can go into ChatGPT and ask, and it suggests the average function. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's it. And I could get some help on it. And in this case, we have a sense of what it should be. So we're going to type in average, and we want average of from here up to there. Or we can click up here first and then shift click down here. Whoops, I got to go back into this. And inside of average, I'm going to click up here first and down there. So remember, if you're in the middle of a formula, you go and select a range, then it'll fill it in for you. Now see how this says table 1 per capita income, and it doesn't say Q2 up until Q78. So what we're going to do is up here in the upper left in cell A1, where it says table, we're going to go down and make it not a table, make it just values. So revert unformatted data. So normally if you type in numbers, it won't be a table automatically unless you make it that. So now it's just data. So now if we come in here and we type in average, and we're going to choose the range from the very top down to the bottom, now we get those values in there, the range. And then here's the average. Now the average is money, so we could come up here to format, or here's dollars right here. And the average income is $41,700. Average per capita income. Interesting, isn't it? If you know a lot about data science, you might make more than that every year. You know a lot about AI. So what's next? So average per capita income using average. So what happens if Bill Gates makes lots of money, lives in a particular neighborhood like Lincoln Park? Okay, what does that do to the average income? Well, let's go and try it. So we want to find up here, we want to find Lincoln Park. So one way to do that is if I click in this spreadsheet anywhere, and then I can go up to find, I don't know where it is. I just know the shortcut, which is Control F or Command F. It's got to be in here somewhere. Find. Where is it? Probably all of you listening to this, you're like, oh, I know how to do that. I just don't know where the menu option is for it. Well, here's find and replace. So I'll just do find without the replace. So Lincoln Park. Here's Lincoln Park in row 13. Oh, and it found it over in this other tab. So let's go back to practice. We now know it's in row 13. Here's row 13. So let's go to per capita income in row 13. And let's just pretend that Bill Gates makes a lot of money. And this is going to have an impact on the average, because right now the average is 41,000. But if I put this into cell 13, what's the average income? It's not 41,000 anymore. It's now a 1.5 billion, which is a lot of money. So that gets skewed just because of the income of one person. So what if we said, well, I know that some people have, a few people have a super high income like that, so I don't actually want average. What we could do is we could use median, which is the middle value. So if we go and do median here, so that's a super high value, then there's low values. So I could do median. And that's something a little bit more reasonable. So you could, same way you could do minimum income, median income, and maybe the low income. So we already saw this median income, so we could grab this as text and we can copy it and paste it here. I use the shortcut keys for copy and paste. And the min income, you could look it up. The min income. And the same thing, copying and pasting the max income. There we go. And that's that Bill Gates number we put in there. That's super high. All right. Let's say that we want to classify income using an if statement. First thing here, let's go back and fix this. So that was row 13, the income. Let's say Bill Gates moved out. So Lincoln Park, this income, but I don't remember what that was. I want to do undo all the way. But fortunately, remember, we made a copy. So I'm going to come over here, Lincoln Park, go over to the income value. Where was it here? Per capita income for row 13. Here it is. Copy it, come back over here, paste it, and we're back at 41,000 probably down here. Oh, so this is medium. Now we could go back to average if we wanted to. So we want to classify each neighborhood as low or high income using an if statement, similar to what we did before. And so I'm going to insert, let's put it over here on this side this time to show we can. And I right-clicked, or you could go up here to do insert, to do the same thing, and insert a column to the right there. High, low income. Okay. And so it's going to be equals and if we're comparing to the average, let's change this value back to average. Average, because Bill Gates has moved out. So there's our 41,000 number. And so we want to compare the income, this income. If this income is less than this average, then we want to actually put low. Okay, so let's highlight this and come up here, make them all dollar signs. So this is less than. So what I want to have here, I want this to say low like that. And because it's less than 41,000. And let me see, is there another one bigger than 41,000? This one, right? I want that one to say high, like that. So low and high. But I want it to do it automatically. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here and say, if this value is less than, and I'm not going to type in 41,000. I'm going to refer to this down here. If this value is less than this value down there, then put the text low there, else put the text high in this place. So that's going to look like this. Equal sign to start, and then the if, and I'm going to say if this value is less than this value down here, and then comma, then if it's true, then I'm going to put low as text. And whenever you have text, you put double quotes around it. Let's just see what happens if we forget the quotes. Low, like that. So it doesn't like it without the quotes. So let's put the quotes around it like that. And there's low. So I could just fill this in for all of them. So copy, shift, and then shift click, and then paste. Oh, a lot of them are false here, but I want it to say high if it's above. Well, no, there's something else wrong because this is less than 41,000, but this is less than 41,000. Why does it say false? What's going on here? There's some problem. I want to pause this and try and figure it out for your own right now. So when I click on this, the formula says if R2, which is this one right there, is less than R81, which is this one around there, then put low there. When I click on this one, look at the formula. Look at the formula up here really carefully. If R2 less than R81, when I click on this, it says if R3 less than R82. So R3 is this right there, less than R82. Wait, that's this one. It's no longer talking about that. So when I copied the formula down, this value automatically changed. And so when I get down to here, it's comparing R4, which is this, and it's comparing it to this cell down here. So this number keeps changing by 1, but I don't want it to do that. I want it to stay the same. I want it to be anchored always to that exact value in row 81. So to anchor something, what you do is you put a $sign in front of it. So click in here and put a $sign. That means that when I copy it, that 81 is going to stay as 81. This 2 will change to R2, R3, and so forth. So let's do that. Copy, click, and shift click, and paste. And so now I see here, when I look up there, the 81 always stays there, no matter which thing I'm looking at. But if it's higher than the median, I don't want to say false. I want to say high, so low and high. So in here it says low. If it's true, I put high there like that. So if the condition is true, then put low in this spot, else put high in this spot like that. Oops, I just messed that up. Okay, so low and high. This is still low, so that's fine. So copy, take this, paste, and now we've got the lows and highs in there, just like that. And now we can do our count if. So I could put the value low, I could type it, I could put the value high, and here I'm going to do count if. All these are low or high, so equals count if this value is low, is 53, and it's suggesting this one as well. So I just press enter and let's take a look at it. Oops, it didn't do it. Something we can do instead of typing low here, we could say this cell. So if this range, count if this range is equal to what's stored in this cell here, P80, which is low, instead of typing it in, it's actually better because now we can take this and we could copy it down to here. It's approximately right, but look carefully at the formula. This goes from row 2 to row 78, but then when we copied it down, it went from row 3 to 79. So here again, we want to anchor it. We want it to always start at row 2 up to 78, like that. And now we take that and when we copy it down to here and we look at the formula, it goes from 2 to 78. And this goes from 2 to 78 again. But this one refers to P80, which is low. And this one down here refers to P81, which is high. So 53 plus 24, 77. And that's how many neighborhoods that we have here. So let's take a look at our progress. So now we want to make a mini table that uses this, that falls the neighborhoods. We want to create a bar chart of these values to show the distribution of low and high. So we go in here to create charting now. We choose low and high and the numbers to the right of it. And then we're going to insert a chart. But before we do that, I want to show you one other thing. If you have a table like this and you try and do a chart, it's not going to work. It's not going to insert it. You're going to have to go up here first and revert to unformatted data. So if you're struggling because your chart doesn't show up, check and make sure you don't have a table like this. The table gives you automatic things like sort this based off of this column for all the columns, which is really handy. But we're not doing that right now. So we want to make sure it looks like this and is not a table where these are not all highlighted up here. So highlight this range, insert chart, and it tries to do something smart and suggests something for us so we can look at this. And we have the two values here. So, so we are sorting, the data range is from P80 to Q81. So really the data is from Q80 to Q81. And then the x-axis values are low and high. So let's try this. If we make this Q, just the numbers, Q80 to Q81. And down here, we make this P80. I can go in here and select the range just by dragging it. And now, what did I do? Q80 to Q81, P80 to P81. It just says high. I did something wrong here. Use column Q as headers. No. Use row 81 as labels. All right, I'm a little bit confused in what's going on. What did I do wrong with the data range? P80 to Q81. When I do that, no, it's Q80 to Q81. That's the data. And the x-axis is Q80 to Q81. P80 to P81 is what it is. What goes across here? So add labels. No. Well, I'm confused. Q80 to Q81. Well, I have to get back on that and figure out what it is, what I'm doing wrong. Something simple in here for these. But before I figure that out, maybe I'll go back at the end and do that. I want to show one other type of chart. And that is if I want to compare two charts together, two values together, a scatter plot. So if I'm looking at violent crime and robbery. So if I highlight these two columns, so I want to know if there's a lot of violent crime, does that also mean there's a lot of robberies? Like how are these two things correlated to each other? So if I highlight these two and I do insert chart, that's what this shows. This shows that as violent crime goes up, robberies also go up. And that kind of makes sense. And then here's a couple interesting spots. Like, look at this. So this one is where a robbery value is above 600, and it's the only one like that. So here we want to go back to the robbery value. Here's robbery. And now we can click on this, and let's sort the column by robbery. So these are low values. So the highest value is going to be at the bottom. So we know we can do Command arrow down to come down here and see what it is. And we all know what neighborhood is it? Austin neighborhood. Yeah. And then the second highest is the near west side. So some neighborhoods have more violent crime, and in this case have more robbery. And when we look here, we see that those are correlated. So there's a line that says as violent crime goes up, robberies also tend to go up. And you could correlate other things and do something similar. All right, well, I messed up on the other chart. Is that still even in here? Maybe not. In terms of getting the labels right. And that just goes to show that even after all these years, I get lots of things wrong still and have to fiddle with it. And so you can do the same. Okay. Some other features to explore some other time. Sorting. We saw a little bit of that with a table. And VLOOKUP, which is really powerful, but not for this video. I went back and fiddled with this just a little bit. When I click on this graph here and go to setup, down here at the bottom, you can switch the rows and columns, and it gives you low and high here like this. And I can use row 80 as headers, switch the rows and columns. So sometimes it cares about, is it row oriented or column oriented? So these features right here can help give us the labels on the bottom, or just showing here each color what it corresponds to, which is, I think, what we wanted for this. You can fiddle with these customizations and titles and all for these charts.